Good evening. Welcome to Our Legacy here at CAN TV 21. I'm Alonzo, here with my special guest tonight, Brian Johnson. As you know, Our Legacy is an organization that was started by my sister Lena and my sister Shantae, who's over there on the phones tonight. Our Legacy is an organization. Our purpose is to strengthen, educate, and empower our communities. We have several programs that we utilize and employ to help do this. We have our Hello campaign, which is about community engagement. We have our Community Clean and Green, which we use to help clean our communities and beautify our communities and instill pride in the community. Perfect Pets, we have our archery program, and many, many more. Our topic tonight is going to be about financial empowerment within our economically depressed communities. And to help me talk about that tonight is our guest, Brian Johnson. Brian Johnson is the CEO of the Commonwealth Initiative, CWI. And Brian, if you would just tell us first, what led to the creation of CWI, and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Great question. As Alonzo just said, my name is Brian Johnson, and one thing that I'm passionate about is financial education and educating our communities. And one of the things that led me on the path to creating the Commonwealth Initiative was the realization that there was a void of financial education in my community. I grew up from very humble beginnings, as some would call the projects, very humble. And what I realized was that the main thing that kept me at that point in time from getting to the place that I wanted to be financially was the lack of resources and education. So as a result of that, I went on a quest to learn as much as I could about finance, and when I learned that information, it was extremely it was like exhilarating. It was like a breath of fresh air in so many words, because I was able to find out and learn tools and had resources that I've seen others use in other groups of individuals, and they were successful. So when I learned that information about finance, it led me to not only create a company, but to share that information with others. So that's where the passion for the Commonwealth Initiative, it stems from that, the lack and scarcity, and learning that information and wanting to share it with everyone in the community that I could.
Right, which leads me to my first question to you. So I find that, at least in my observation, is that one of the biggest pieces missing, especially in our minority African American communities, is financial education and awareness. It would seem to me that, starting from the home to the church, to the school, to the communities, that we are unaware and uneducated when
Absolutely.
it comes to finances, money in general. So what are some of the ways you think that we can actually address those issues?
That's a great question. There are a number of ways to address the information. I want to first go back to just my journey, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
When I was living in what I referenced as humble beginnings and ventured out and worked in corporate America, my very first job was at Morgan Stanley, which is a financial services company, and I was like a sponge. There was a wealth of knowledge that was there about how to manage your money, how to budget, how to invest, and do all of these things that was void in our community. So some of the things that I feel that we can do to make us better or to be more financially educated is, one, to discuss it. That's the first step. So let's discuss what the issue is. And then there are a few things that we can do on a personal level that can help us financially, and on a community level, which is what we're focused on with Our Legacy, there are some things as a collective that we can do to empower ourselves. So the main thing is, one, having the knowledge, and we can start wherever you are. So on an individual level, what that could look like is as simple as YouTubing information on budgets and how to better manage your money, and what are some of the tools that you can use. You can use pen and paper to come up with a simple budget of what your expenses and things are. So on an individual level, those are some of the things that we can do. On a macro level, on a community level, some of the things that we could do that would be more effective in our communities if we actually meet on a regular basis. If we pool our money, what that would look like, pooling your money together is starting an investment club, getting with other individuals and perhaps investing in distressed properties and things of that nature. So all of these components will aid in helping to remove that distressed economic situation that pretty much plagues our communities.
Great, great. And just for a moment, let me take you to our information. For more information on anything that we're discussing tonight or any of our projects or things that if you want to get involved with anything with Our Legacy, our telephone number is 773-303-5846. You can also visit our website at ourlegacynpo.com. We also have a Facebook page. You could just look up Our Legacy and for here in Chicago, and you will definitely see us. So we were basically talking about educating the communities, but you mentioned some points. You mentioned starting with personal, being educated on a personal level when it comes to finances. My next question would be, what are some of the biggest misconceptions that you have seen? We both grew up from humble beginnings. So what have you seen in our communities as some of the biggest blocks, biggest misnomers, things that are just myths? I mean, things that people say that stand in the way. I mean, just things, address some of those things.
That's a great question. I know it may sound very simple, but one of the biggest things or biggest myths is that managing your money or financial education is difficult.
I'm going to pause you on that. Looks like we have a caller. Caller, go ahead.
How are you? Hello.
Yes,
Yes.
caller.
Hey, Brian. How are you?
I'm well. Thanks for calling in.
Good information. Good information. I do a little bit of what you're doing, and you know what? I love speaking to younger, college kids and even high school kids before issues have started with financial or credit. And what I've seen the slippery slope of being is obviously credit. And I explain to these kids, don't sign up for those credit cards to get a free T-shirt. And once they go down that path and get all this credit and don't pay the bills and mess up their credit, that's the start of the whole financial issues. So
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts about that? I mean, how important do you talk about credit to your people in your community?
Okay. Thank you for your question, caller. Brian, what would you say about credit?
That's a great question. That's a great point, one, and a great question. Credit is extremely important. Without it, you're limited in what you can purchase, what types of assets you can acquire. And when I talk about the simplicity of looking at your finances and managing your money, the credit issue also goes along with the basic money management. So, and what that looks like is if you have control over your finances, which is what's coming in, your income versus your expenses, and you're managing that and making sure that you're paying your bills timely and so forth. If you pay your credit card bill timely, then it's going to have a positive effect on your credit. If you're not if you're not at the capacity with your credit card, that's going to have a positive effect on your credit. So the way, or I should say the strategy that I like to use when I speak to other individuals in my generation and younger is to be wise with your spending, one, as it pertains to credit. And secondly, you really have to be on top of paying your bills on time. And that's one of the things that we miss over. Right. And it's really simple. If I know what my American Express bill is or my Capital One bill is, it's due on the 5th or the 6th, and I have an actual written budget, and it lists everything that has to be paid on a semi-monthly, bi-monthly, every 2 weeks, however often you are paid. Having some structure, something written down that gives you a reminder to pay these bills, that's going to help and add to your personal financial empowerment. So, caller, great question. That ties in with your credit as well.
Right. So let me take that with the caller's question and tie that into the question I asked you about misconceptions, because I have grown up and heard people say things like, well, credit don't matter that much, or I can just get somebody to wipe my credit. It's no problem. I mean, tie that into the question I asked about what are some of the misconceptions in our communities around money and finance.
Exactly. So going back to thinking that managing your money is difficult, it's more effective to be proactive, meaning having a budget in place, taking control over your finances, more empowering than being reactive. Whereas when you're in a situation you're trying to purchase a home, for example, and you've not really been a good steward over your finances, and now we're at a rush trying to clean your credit. We're trying to wipe things off which are not the proper way and the proper channels to do things. I find it to be more easier, or it is more advantageous for you to take these small steps now from a personal management standpoint. Have your finances in order so by the time you're ready to step out and to purchase a home or whatever asset it is, a car, you actually have the savings in place. You have a budget in place, which is very key. Something that's so simple, but a budget, having that in place will save you tons of money. And what that will do is, by you exercising, you want to develop a habit of getting in the habit of budgeting your money every single month. You can know what's coming in and what's going out. And then when you are at that point to purchase a car or real estate, all of your finances are in order. Your credit is already in order because you've had a budget. You've paid your bills on time every month. So the challenge is getting beyond the psychological thing of thinking your money and a budget is evil and it's difficult. It is as literally as simple as writing down what you have on a piece of paper. For those that are a little bit more advanced, you have options like an Excel spreadsheet. You can use a number of other different not social media, but different programs that they have like Mint and so forth to help you with these individual money management.
So you mentioned something, you said something that kind of leads to another question that I had. Of course, one of the things that we intend and are trying to help facilitate and deal with our communities is the idea of being invested in our communities. And not just invested in your communities with your time, but invested with your money. And since our topic today is finances and money, I want you to talk about the importance of ownership in our communities. Ownership in our communities. What would you say about that?
Ownership, I mean, the importance, it is one of the most important things. And the reason why we emphasize ownership being important is because you're more, how can I say it? If you have, and just in layman's terms, if I own or if you own a 3-story building, hypothetically speaking, using today, you own a 3-story building and you own it flat out, you just pay the taxes every year and the insurance, you are in a position to not only empower yourself, because you could use that asset, which is the actual building, you can rent it out. That could generate some additional money for you to help make your lifestyle easier. That's the reason why ownership is very important. Or if your family is in a situation and you have a family member that's in a time of need and they've lost a job and they need housing, now you're in a position, because you own this piece of property, that you can be a blessing and to help someone else in their time of need. And not only that, but think about your future, your legacy, our legacy, your individual legacy. So your individual legacy, what is it going to be? Am I passing on an asset or something to my sons, my daughters, my nieces and nephews that's tangible, that they can use to elevate their life or their community? So imagine if a number of individuals in your respective communities decide it's the importance of ownership, and we decide to take back the block, or we decide to pool together our finances and we're going to invest by creating an LLC or some type of legal entity. A lawyer, you would consult for that. But whatever that specific entity is, you pool your finances and your money together, and you can revolutionize your community. You can take over, not take control, but you can really have an impact on your community to combat some of the negativity that's going on. So those are some ways and some solutions, I believe.
Right. I mean, because again, the bottom line is that, and there are people that you can, certain authors you can read, certain what's his name, Dr. Claude Anderson, who speaks Powernomics, who speaks on the idea that the reason why we are economically depressed, the reason why we have no power, political or otherwise, boils all down to money.
Exactly.
And it's just a reality that if you don't have the money in your communities, then you do not have the power in your communities. If you do not own the homes and the grocery stores and the buildings, because that allows you to be able to yield a certain degree of influence amongst your aldermen and different politicians, because they're looking at the ones who own. I mean, the people who own the neighborhood
Have a say.
the say.
Exactly.
They're the ones who have, a say. So, what would you say? Let's kind of pull it back to personal education. What are some of the things that people can do, literally do right now? What's something, if someone says, "Hey, Brian, I just don't even know where to start. I work this job, I make X amount of money per hour," which takes me to another misconception. Oh, I only make $12 an hour. So what's the purpose of me budgeting and saving and investing, which I want to touch investing too. So address some of that.
Well, I mean, the way that I look at it, what's the importance? When I referenced in the beginning that I come from humble beginnings, when I graduated high school, I did some odd jobs here and there, but what I realized was that having control over my finances, and I use the word control quite a bit, and what I mean by that is just having ownership, having a system in place, aided me greatly. From an individual standpoint, if it were not me experiencing and walking to one of my friends' house, and I literally saw them with these were older generation. They had an actual pad and a pen, and they got their family together every 2 weeks, however often the family were paid, and they went through and actually wrote down every single expense what's coming into the house. And I was like, oh my God, I had never done that because I relied solely on my memory. What ended up happening is just relying on memory. Life happens. You may forget a bill that's due, and then you have a ding on your credit report.
Exactly.
But having and utilizing paper and technology and spreadsheets, those are things that help me to become successful with my finances, and to go to the, not just on a personal level, even on a macro level, which is from the community standpoint. Oftentimes we feel like financial independence and financial security is so far-fetched on a community level when there are a number of things that you can do right now today.
Right.
So you can start by simply on an individual level. You can Google. You can use YouTube if you want to learn how to create a budget. It's really simple. There's resources that are out there. If you are at a place where you're ready to invest, YouTube. Google. You can look up some of the leading discount brokers that are out there, like Schwab or TD Ameritrade, Fidelity, or what have you. There is a bevy of knowledge and information if you look it up. Some things that one could do that would actually help you in your everyday financial life. It's something simple like checking your bank account every single day.
Right.
Really simple. Like you get up in the morning, we all have smartphones. First, not the very first thing, but one of the things that I do is when I get up, I check my actual account. So making sure I'm checking my bank account, because why? There could have been an overcharge or an overdraft. There could have been something that happened that was an error on the bank. Those are ways where we're keeping and taking control over our finances.
Right.
And if you can avoid issues before they happen, that makes you more empowered and more powerful. And those types of behaviors will, if you practice them daily, regularly, will actually work. And I should say not even work, will help you be more financially astute.
Right. Okay, so remember, callers, for any information about anything that we're talking about this evening, you can reach us on our website at ourlegacynpo.com. You can call us at 773-303-5846. You can also go to our Facebook page where you can just look up ourlegacy.us and reach us there also. If you have any questions for Mr. Brian here, would you like to tell our people out here in Can TV land how they could get in contact with you personally, if they have any financial questions?
Absolutely. I'm huge in believing that education is key. So there's a wealth of information that you can learn about a number of the topics we discussed, and that's at www.cwimoney.com. Again, that's www.c, as in Charlie, wimoney.com, the Commonwealth Initiative, CWI Money. And we have a number of articles and posts that give you just basic information on what you can do to better manage your money, how you can protect your finances and your resources, from estate planning to starting a business. So no matter what spectrum, we really want to educate the community and empower them to know that they can make a change.
Right. Also, you can also visit our website. Here is our actual website right here, ourlegacynpo.com. Like I said, we highlight our See Us, which is basically the purpose behind the Our Legacy organization. Our Hello campaign, of course, here at Can TV 21 Live, community and opportunities to support us. Our community clean and green also. Here soon we will be adding something that will be dealing with financial empowerment. I know we intend on having some workshops for just basic financial advice, possibly credit repair and things like that. And I'm certain you'll be the one probably facilitating those workshops. Since we have a few more minutes of callers, be sure you could call us in right now if you have any questions for Mr. Johnson at 312-738-1060. So let's talk for those last few minutes that we have about. So let's say you have people in the community, they're homeowners, they're financially solvent, they're okay, but they don't know what they can do within the community on the community macro level to make a positive impact on the community. So what are some of the things that people in that position who are looking for ways to help the community on that level, what are some of the things that they can do?
That's a great question. I think some of the things that on a community level we can do is, in your own community first, organize. Organization is absolutely key. So if you have the passion to organize in your community, set up a meeting with other homeowners or other key community persons and have a conversation about, hey, these are the problems in our community. Let's take an assessment of what resources and assets we have.
Right.
So if I'm sitting and I'm in the South Shore community and I want to make an effective change, what I want to do is get together with other business persons or other community individuals or homeowners and say, okay, these are a number of the problems that we have, and what resources do we have? So let's take a tally of all of our resources, and then you go from there to structure what you can do in your community. Now, we at CWI Money, or the Commonwealth Initiative, and Our Legacy, I'm sure, can help facilitate those types of conversations, but that really, simply put, it starts with having a conversation. Hey, we notice there are some things in our community that we want to change. Let's get together and make those changes. Outside of that, you can put together a formalized plan. You may want to meet on a regular basis. And there's a number of different creative things that you can do, and it can be fun. Finances and money is not like this drag, like, oh my God. You really can have fun with what you're doing and affecting change in the community, and then it benefits you economically as well. You feel good.
Right. Having money feels good, people.
Well, yeah, that allows you to turn up when you have your finances in order. You can't turn up properly unless you're balling on the budget. So there's nothing wrong with balling on the budget.
And all of these things tie in. I mean, whether you're talking about good health, unfortunately, the more financially secure you are, the more you can afford to have good health. Believe it or not, it is true. Like he's saying, but if you don't have good health, then you can't go to the job to make the money to also keep you in good health. So we have to have all of these things in place. Money is important, and managing your finances is a tool, is very important. So once again, you can. Any information that you might need about anything that we talked about tonight, again, you can call us at 773-303-5846 or visit our website at ourlegacynpo.com or visit our Facebook page. So I want to thank Mr. Brian Johnson
Thank you
for
for having
joining me this evening, and he will probably be back again, more than likely. I'm sure of it. Again, thank you for joining us tonight, and again, reach out to us at Our Legacy. Anything that you can do to help us help you help the community at large will greatly be appreciated. So until next time, next Monday night, join us again. My sister Lena will be back then. She's on vacation. So peace out. Have a good night.
Good night.